Hello and welcome. My name is Melissa, but subscribers can call me Missy. Today we are sitting in my studio and it is in need of a good clean, a good declutter, some organization. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, let me tell you about a dream I had.
I awoke in spirit and left my body. In front of me was a sprite or a fairy. It took me by the hand and led me out of bed. I walked, and it led for what seemed to me a long time, much longer than such a walk ought to take. Finally, we came to a forest of clutter so dense I had to crawl to get through it. Finally, we reached our destination, what should have been a short distance. A room in my house, the room you saw at the beginning of this video. Except the closet, which had been transformed into a portal to the Fey realm.
So when I woke up for real the next day, I knew that if I could just get this room cleaned and organized, a realm of wonder and magic would await me. At the very least, this room would be a lot more functional for me when I'm working. It's the beginning of a new year, so let's get everything back into order so that this year can hopefully go smoothly.
All right, after all of that, of course, when I started cleaning, I started in my closet. I mean, I wanted my fairy portal, okay? You can't blame me for that. But I was also aware of a lot of things in there that I could declutter to make space, not only in the closet, but in the room as a whole, because space is space, okay? Space is space. We need it in order to be organized or even just not messy. So anyways, I've been selling prints of my art at events for a couple years, and I thought it looked better in frames, but it has been a lot to be lugging frames back and forth to various local events to sell my art, and it's just not bringing me joy anymore. So all of these frames are going back to the thrift store from whence they came. I did save a few for my personal use, but look, now I have space to put these actual things that I really need, which are these poster rollers where I put my poster-sized prints that are printed on cotton. They're pretty cool. I like them. I even hang them in my own house. Is that narcissistic to hang your own artwork within your own house? I don't know. But I do have a problem where I make art and then I have a hard time selling the originals. And so where else are they going to hang if not my own house? Speaking of art that I'm probably never going to sell, here's a piece. It's not finished yet. And here's another piece that is probably never going to be purchased because it's pretty ugly. But even still, sometimes what I'm hanging is actually prints of my original artwork, even though I have the originals. I don't know what goes on in my brain. Don't even ask. Anyways, I went through to organize all of this art that was in my closet. My kids claimed this wolf painting. They loved it. It's theirs now. They wanted it. And then I needed to find my knife, which was a struggle for obvious reasons. But when I found it, I used it to cut this cardboard portfolio down to a more manageable size so that it would actually fit more comfortably within my closet space. It was much bigger than the art inside, and really, this was a really smart solution that I should have thought of earlier. At this point, the floor portion of my closet was all done, and I could put stuff back inside. It was such a nice feeling. But no time for celebrating. On to the next shelf. And if you thought that big trunk full of frames was a lot of frames, there were more frames in each of these big shopping tote bags, along with some garbage. So I went through them and I was able to get one full tote bag emptied. More precious space. And if you thought that was the end of the frames, think again, because these blue vintage suitcases that I got at a yard sale, I love them. They're some of my favorite things that I've found at yard sales. Anyways, they were also full of frames, so I emptied those out as well. Fun fact about those suitcases, they had once belonged to former Utah Governor Bangerter's brother, so little piece of history there. So yeah, like owning these suitcases is pretty much the closest I've ever gotten to being, I don't know, relevant. But enough with the joking. This isn't a jolly holiday by the seashore. This is serious cleaning. And so it's time for me to go through my seashells. I have this big box of seashells. It's pretty heavy. It also has some necklaces and other things in it, but mostly seashells that I was going to use for craft projects and stuff. But then I never used them. And so since it's been several years, I think I'm going to get rid of the majority of the seashells. I'm going to keep a few just in case I ever get around to some of those crafts. And with another box evicted from my closet, I am ready to put some more stuff back in. It is so satisfying to actually have space for the things that I want to put in that space. And I know I'm saying space a lot, so welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam. Yeah, from now on, I'm just gonna refer to decluttering as space jamming, and y'all can join me if you want. It's called space jamming now. And even though I was space jamming, it doesn't mean I'm not a hoarder. I kept this. Listen to the sound that made. I kept it. It's just some thin plexiglass that was on a frame that was broken. So with the closet successfully space jammed, I could go ahead and start putting all the other things away that I just kind of left out after doing, I don't even know what. Some of this stuff, why is it even out? I don't know. It's out though, and it needs to go away. So yeah, while there is going to be a little space jam in here, most of it is just putting things away that need to be put away. For example, here in a moment, you're gonna see me pull out an envelope of my own hair that I've been keeping for about a year. Why? I don't know. I mean, who doesn't have an envelope of hair in their house at some point, right? Moving on. I thought these lights could fit in this suitcase. They could not. We just shoved it in the closet. And with that, the desk area was clean. Woohoo! On to another part of the room. Of course, my kids claimed the painting, but they didn't take it very far, so I had to take it to their room. But then when that was done, I was able to go through and I had a bunch of fabric scraps and other little bits and bobs that had to be folded up and placed into various piles that would then find a place. So the fabric needed to go into my fabric stash, which is in another part of the house. Not a very streamlined system, but you know, it works for now. And the suitcase also served to hold some of the things that I wasn't sure where else to put them. So it all worked out. But yeah, that's one strategy I use when I'm tidying, is to put things that need to go to another part of the house into its own pile so I can take all of those things at once instead of moving them as I encounter them. I know that this sounds probably a little bit like a no-brainer, but it is something that I had to consciously think about and learn to do. And with that section of the floor cleaned, it was time to move on to some of these surfaces. At this point, I was mostly able to walk freely around my space, and oh, it felt so good just to be able to walk around. It felt like the end was in sight, and it was, but there was also a lot of small things that needed to be cleaned up off of this surface. It's these little things, though, that can really kind of make your brain feel discombobulated. It all just blends together in a slurry of mess. And so at this point, it was just about picking up each individual thing and thinking for a second about where it goes. And some of those things could be put away right away, and other ones had to be put in other parts of the house. So put those into a pile, set them aside, and that's how we get through it. You know, you just take one step at a time. There's no need to rush. It's like learning to fly or falling in love. It's gonna happen when it's supposed to happen, then we find a reason why. All right, this is the point at which I get excited because this is the last part of the room that needed to be cleaned up. And so it was just a few things, and they just needed to be put away and taken care of. So we're pretty much done now. Guys, we did it. Give yourself a pat on the back while you watch these before and after shots.
We did it. This room is back to a normal state. I honestly, how did it get so bad? How did it get so bad? That's what I would like to know. It got so bad, but how? I didn't get as much organizing done as I would have liked. That's okay. That's okay. We didn't get around to it. We'll do it another time. It's okay. But it feels so fresh to have it all done. If this video inspired you and you did a declutter of your own, let me know in the comments below what space you were able to get clean, organized, decluttered, whatever, while you were watching this video, or after you watched this video, or before you watched this video. Anyways, clearly it hasn't happened yet, but soon enough, a magic portal will appear, and we just have to have faith that it's going to happen. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. If you liked anything about that video, please hit the like button. And if you would like to see more from me, I do all kinds of stuff in this room. Please subscribe, and then I will see you in the next video. Bye.